So let's jump in. Like I said, this will be recorded, so if people are joining in late, they'll be able to catch up later on. Um, welcome, welcome. We are getting so close to the campaign. We're about 22 days away. We're crazy, but we are almost there. So it's exciting for me. It's been a lot of work for this last year getting to this point. For many of you, the last several months as well. So let's get into what things are going to look like for this year. There's a couple of just kind of housekeeping things that I want to go over while I've got everybody here. And that is just a reminder about campaign requirements. This is one of them. So if you'll take a moment and help me keep attendance by just dropping the organization that you're here for in the chat. I'll just have a record of that and then can go back and check it in to see who is here. So you can just pop it in there real fast for me. That's really helpful to keep track of it. And we will, so you had your beginning meeting as your first mandatory meeting. This is your second one. That's the end of meetings that you have to attend. There'll be other things happening later on. And I know we have several board members or volunteers or people on staff who are covering for our campaign liaisons today. So thank you so much for coming and taking the time to get this information for your organization and bring it back to them. We do have the video recording, but we don't like to rely on that because we want everybody to have the chance to get the information all at the same time, and so that we all start the campaign on the same page. I cannot monitor the chat super well right now, so if you've got a question you need to ask, just wait until the end, and I'll give a chance for everybody to pop up on screen and ask questions if we need to. Again, so you had 2 mandatory meetings. This is your second one, so you can mark that off your list. The third requirement that you had was to get your $500 matching grant minimum met. And most of you have done that, and that is amazing. Thank you so much for taking this deadline seriously, following through on that requirement. I really appreciate it. Tracy, who's our bookkeeper, who I think is here today, she can wave if you can see her. But Tracy and I have worked really hard over the last 2 months to get all of those donations processed, make sure that they're credited to your campaign the way they need to be, and that everybody has got that built up. You'll be able to see here in a minute when we go through the website kind of what those matching grants look like on the website right now. And it'll give you a chance to do that. If you have not turned in a $500 matching grant, please, please, please take care of that as soon as possible. Tracy and I have to wrap up all of those matching grants. It's in a completely different system for us than the campaign, and we need to be able to switch over to campaign so they're ready to work with our donors who are coming in that way. And we just want to make sure that you've got everything that you need. You've had a chance to look at them all and that they're the way that they're supposed to be. So if you have not done that, please be in contact with me, communicate with me. It's hard for me to try to track down people who haven't done that, but we were just looking at it earlier this morning. We have less than 10 outstanding matching grants, so people who either submitted an invoice or somebody who's missing something. And for October 9th in the campaign, that is amazing. So thank you, thank you, thank you for those of you who got on top of matching grants really quickly this year. I'll show you the totals in a minute, but over $330,000 already raised for the campaign through matching grants, and that is a great start. I'm super excited about that. And then lastly, a requirement, I'm going to talk about it in a little bit when we talk about marketing, but it's just a reminder that you have to let people know that you're a part of the campaign. And that can look like however you want it to look like, but that is the other requirement to fulfill kind of the things that we agreed to in our participation agreement. So the 2 meetings, getting a matching grant, and making sure people know that you're part of the campaign. Those are kind of the last hurdle for us to do. Another thing that that's come on my radar in the last couple of weeks are people have been planning some collaboration events. I know there's several of you who do this every year, and that's great. And I just wanted to collaboration event, I mean, where you and other nonprofits who are in the Give campaign are hosting an event together to raise money for yourselves and for the campaign. And I want to just offer up our social media and our platform as well. So if you are doing one of those events, please feel free to tag us in any of your social media. You can add us as a co-host on, I know on Facebook, maybe on Instagram too, I'm not positive, but we're happy to do that so that you can get as big as a boost as you can for when you're hosting those events and you're trying to share about them. You can also just shoot me an email and let me know that you're doing that. And we'll try to get it in. We send out a newsletter a couple of times during the campaign to the entire mailing list. And we'd be happy to put those events in there for you. So keep me in the loop with all that stuff. I love it. And I want to make sure that we are giving you as much of a signal boost as we can as the campaign. Okay, next. Speaking of which, let's talk about just really quickly about the Give Growler Gala that we're going to host on the, sorry, I admit a couple more people, that we're going to host at Bristol Brewing Company on November 15th. If you remember last year, we had started this thing with Bristol with the growler purchase. And I just wanted to talk about it really quickly. Last year it did okay. I don't think we raised as much money as we were hoping to do with it. And in talking with Bristol and with Courtney, who runs the pub room there, we felt it was maybe too nebulous of a time period, that any time during November and December that you could come and get one of those growlers. So we're trying to kind of concentrate and build some momentum around one specific event. So we're going to do that on November 15th at Bristol. They're giving us that whole outdoor space that's down there from noon to 3 o'clock, if the weather's good. If the weather is bad and it's just one of those days, we're actually going to be back inside in the brew pub. So either way, we'll have the space available. We're going to bring a DJ in. We're going to try to have some fun for families if there's that. We've got our Plinko machine. We got some giveaway things that we're going to do. So we're really just trying to give you an event to invite donors to invite board members to invite supporters, to just kind of get, this is open to the public, obviously, to try to get some momentum going around the middle part of December. It can be kind of a slow time for the campaign. So this is just a great event for us to do that. We don't have room for everybody to table at the event, but you are welcome to come and bring swag, wear your gear so everyone knows who you are. We're going to have, instead of just the paper ballots for the growlers, we're going to have the jars out where people can put their token in and how they're going to do their donation. And again, this is a $25 donation for every growler that's sold. They charge $30. Honestly, $5 is just what it costs to make the growlers, and then they're donating all of the beer and the half price refills to you so that you get the full $25 for every one that's been purchased. So I'll put more information about this in the weekly newsletter, but just wanted to make sure that it was on your radar, that that's coming up. It's a great event that we're going to be pushing out into the community. Okay, let's talk about what we're going to do here in this meeting really quickly. We're going to talk about campaign dates, just reminders about that. Our campaign competitions, so we can just talk about those donor competitions that having, how to make edits to your page, those daily donation reports, and then I'm going to pull up the back end of the website so you can see what it looks like right now. Okay, as a reminder, the campaign does open at midnight, Halloween, so 12:01 a.m. November 1st, the campaign website will go live. Right now, if you go to givepikespeak.org, you see our typical landing page that's up most of the year. But starting at midnight, that whole page, the whole site goes away for 2 months. You can't even find it on the internet. We want all of the SEO, everything to go towards the campaign. So that website will redirect to campaign.givepikespeak.org. Will be live at that time. That's how we'll be accepting donations. Everything that I'll show you here in the back end will be up and live for the public to see. And that redirect will happen from November 1st through January 3rd. I know that the campaign.givepikespeak.org/nonprofit/ whatever your name is a long URL. So you can just send people to givepikespeak.org and it will redirect automatically. I also recommend using, if you're going to just use your specific landing page, that you use QR codes, that you use shortened addresses that you can do through Bitly, things like that, to make them shorter, because they are a little bit long and cumbersome, but it's what our web developers needed to do in order to keep the campaign site secure throughout the year and then give us a landing page when the campaign wasn't up. So figure out how you want to shorten that, but you can always just send them to givepikespeak.org. It will always redirect while the campaign is live. The campaign does run November 1st through January 3rd and closes at midnight on January 3rd. I know in the past there was a lot of confusion around it because it said it ran November through December 31st. And then we would always tack on, oh, let's do 3 more days. And that got a little confusing for some donors. It got confusing with different nonprofits handling it in different ways. And there were some people who just didn't have the flexibility to have people in the office on January to handle changing your social media or putting another big push out. So we just want to be really clear with you that the campaign will be up, redirecting and accepting donations from November 1st at midnight to midnight of January 3rd. So it'll be up and running that whole time, and will close there at the end of January 3rd. If you go to campaign.givepikespeak.org right now, a splash page will come up and say, we're not ready yet. Basically, come see us on November 1st. And then on January 4th, as soon as it hits that midnight, the same thing will come up that just say, thank you for your donations. The campaign is closed. So those links are active during that time period. I know several of you have kind of figured out a way to use that last week and those last 3 days of the campaign to do that. And that's great. Whatever messaging you want to use with your own donors, feel free to do that. If you want to say that it closes December 3rd or December 31st, and then try to build momentum with those last 3 days, you're welcome to do that information. Just know that the website will be up through January 3rd. But I know several of you have very specific ways that you handle that last week and those last donations. And you are welcome to do that with our blessing. We do keep it up for the January 3rd for a couple of reasons, but it's almost remarkable down to like the dollar that in those 3 days we raise another $30,000. So we keep it up because $30,000 isn't nothing, and we want it to be to have the door open as long as we can, just for people who want to take advantage of the different tax year is usually what that is. But again, it's up November 1st to January 3rd. Talk about donor competitions. I know we brought this up several times already, but just a reminder, the competitions have cash prizes. So this is, if you win one of these 3 things, there's cash that is added to your final check. It is sponsored prizes. So there's no processing fees that are taken out of it because our sponsors help with that. The 3 that you can get is the Young Donor Challenge. That's for the organization that brings in the youngest donors ages 36 and under. And I know 36 isn't necessarily young, but as you know, in the philanthropy world, 36 is very young. It's very hard to get demographics from under 36 to become donors. So we want to make sure that we're encouraging them and rewarding and getting fun reasons to join in this younger demographic. We do know that not everybody has a mission or a nonprofit that necessarily appeals to younger donors. So last year we introduced this Generosity Across Generations, and this is for the biggest age span in donors. So who has the youngest and the oldest donor, and they're included in their donors this year. I think last year it was like 75 years was the difference, which is amazing. So that's another one of the cash prizes you can get. And then our social media campaign challenge has also been sponsored again this year. And so that's for whoever has the most creative social media campaign that they launch around the campaign season. And this is when you want to pay attention to those hashtags that I put in the folder, especially Give Campaign 2025, because that's what we look at when we're going back to do the judging, and our sponsor gets to pick who wins the challenge. So Young Donor Challenge, I haven't solidified the sponsorship amount. It's at least $1,000 extra. Generosity Across Generation is $500 right now. And Social Media Campaign Challenge is another $1,000. So I will put those reminders out again, and they will be on the website. But this is extra money that you can get if you're interested in trying to focus your campaign towards getting one of these. Okay, let's talk about your profile page. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a minute on the website. But campaign liaisons received the links on Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon, I sent an email out to the campaign liaisons. And these are the liaisons that you put on the form back at the beginning of the campaign. So you were requested to pick 2, and they're the ones that got that information. I don't think everyone has actually gotten the email. I can see that they haven't all been opened. And then I'm not positive that every nonprofit had actually filled out that form on time, so or filled it out at all. So if you will just double check today that somebody in your organization did get that link to seeing your donor emails and your profile page on the staging site, we just double check and make sure that that happened, because I'm not positive that everybody has. And we only have about a week for edits to be made. So if you haven't gotten that, please shoot me an email this afternoon, and I will get the link to the right person at your campaign. I don't put it out in the newsletter because that goes out to like 250 people, and that's too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to this. So I just need the 2 campaign liaisons from your organization to receive it. But if they haven't, please let me know. I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to look at it on time. In that email, there was a couple of things. There's a spreadsheet that has your 2 daily donor email addresses, the link to your profile, and then there's a form that you can submit edits to any of those things. I would like for you to submit them by October 15th. There is 70 plus of you who are part of the campaign this year, and there is one of me. So when I am trying to keep track of all of these things that need to be changed, it's hard for me if you put it in an email and send it to my inbox, because it gets buried really quickly. And I want to make sure that your page looks the way that you want it to look. So please use the form that I gave you to do that. So that way it populates a spreadsheet for me. It's really easy for me to keep track of making sure I'm getting the edits done that you had requested. And if you can get them done by October 15th, I can guarantee that your page will have plenty of time to be edited and sent back to you for your approval and ready to go by November 1st. If you need to edit something after the 15th, I can't guarantee that it's going to be done. I'm going to do my best to get it to you and get it plenty of time for you to look at it and improve it again. But just in order for the process to work and for me to work through that workload, please try to get the edits to me by the 15th using that form. If you need to change your photos, if you need to change, if you got a video you didn't have earlier that's ready to be uploaded, if you need to change the language, you found a typo, all that kind of stuff, there's a space on the form for you to do that. So please just use that form to submit any edits or any changes that you need to make. Preferably only do it once with the edits. You don't have to submit the edits today. Even if you just submit them by October 15th, that still gives me plenty of time to get them done. So take the chance to really look through the page, make sure it looks the way that you want it to look. Have other people look at it. Sometimes it's easy to use language that is very familiar to you that may not be familiar to somebody on the outside. Use some of those AI tools to look at the page for you to see if everything looks okay. Click all the links, all that kind of stuff, just to make sure that the page looks the way that you want to, and then submit the edits one time. If you submit multiple edit forms, it's confusing for me to know what's the final edit, and then I may have to reach out to you again just to confirm all of that. So try to get your edits in by October 15th, and then I can guarantee we'll have plenty of time for you to look at it, for me to make the edits, and for you to approve it again. And then I will send you an email once I've gone through all of that, so you can give me a thumbs up again that it looks the way that you want to. The other part of that spreadsheet that I sent out is that it has the 2 emails that you said we should send the daily donation reports to. I've kind of mocked up one here on this side. I don't know if my face is in the way. Let me see if I can move me so you can see it. The form over here on the side shows kind of what that email looks like. It gets sent out every day starting November 2nd, and we'll go all the way through the end of the campaign, and probably a week or so after as we clean up any checks that came in late. But it will show your total donations to date at the top. So that's a combination of your individual donations, which is what we call what comes in through the campaign, and then the matching grants that you already have secured. You'll see every day a list of the nonprofits or the donor information that came in from the day before. So it'll have their name, it'll have their address, it'll have their email address, maybe a phone, maybe the year they were born, and the amount that they gave. Unless they chose to be anonymous. And in that case, you'll just see where it says anonymous donor, and then you'll see the amount that they gave you. This is confidential donor information, so just double check that the information is going to the right people in your organization, and that's those 2 email recipients. I can only add 2 emails to that report. So if you need to have more people see that, you can set up an internal forwarding system for that in your email, hopefully, or just manually forward it maybe once a week, because it is cumulative. So every day, every donor that you've received through the entire campaign, including your matching grants here from the beginning, will be listed. So I always recommend people that last report that you get at the end of January, that's the one that you save. Make sure that it's put somewhere because it'll have all of that information on it. And that's the way that you can always go back and look in your inbox as well. But it is cumulative donor information that's on there. That will have a lot of information for people on there. We do give it to you every day because of your stewardship plan. Hopefully you've had a chance to think about what you want that to look like for this year. We talked about it in one of our earlier workshops this summer about how important it is to have a good stewardship plan in place. And we try to give you this donor information as soon as possible so that you have the chance to implement whatever that plan is. If they have chosen to give you information, the only things I can guarantee that are going to be on there is a name and an email. After that, they may not choose to give you all of that information, but you will definitely get an email because that's how we send them a receipt if they did it on the website. And then if they send in a check, then we're just at the mercy of whatever information they gave us on the check. But you will get all that information for you to do your stewardship plan. I highly, highly recommend that you have kind of a daily stewardship plan in place. You won't get a donation every single day. And there are some days of the campaign where you're going to get a lot around those specific giving days that happen at the end of the year. And definitely towards the end of the month of December, it picks up quite a lot. But I want you to have thought through that already now so that you know how that you're going to take care of your donors to make sure that you're thanking them. One thing I brought up in the workshop that I just want to remind you of now is that I went back and looked at some of the stats over the last several years and just my own anecdotal experience of processing everything last year is that there are about 40% of the people who come and use the Give campaign are coming to give to one organization. They're coming because you sent them there, or they've decided this is how they're going to give this year, and they just pick one organization to give it to. They come in, maybe they like the perks, whatever it is. They've come in, they're making one donation to your organization, and then they're leaving the site. More than half, closer to that 60% of people come into the website and are donating to multiple organizations at the same time. So they're coming in and they're making 5 different selections of how they're going to split up their $1,000, their $10,000, whatever it is. They're coming in and picking multiple people, which is great. It's my favorite thing to see on the back end of the website to see how people pick. Sometimes they're picking everybody from the entire category that they're a fan of. Sometimes they're coming picking one person from each category. Everybody has different strategies for how they use the campaign. But the important thing, I think, for you to realize that when I was in your shoes fundraising through the campaign that I didn't think about was that when someone comes in and donates to 5 different organizations, their name and information shows up on 5 daily donation reports to 5 different organizations. And for better or worse, there's some comparing and contrasting to what your stewardship plan looks like compared to how it showed up for somebody else. So just keep that in mind. Have some kind of plan for a daily or weekly, at least, stewardship opportunity that you can reach out and thank your donor for what you have received from them and just acknowledge that gift with them. It's really important because if you wait and if you give an acknowledgement in January or February even, it's a little too late. And I think especially if they've got an immediate thank you from somebody else. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking through your stewardship plan for this year. Lastly with this, and I know that sometimes you put a donor database person in charge of these emails or maybe a finance person in charge of these emails, and that's great. You want to keep this information in your system because these are your donors now, but please do not send them a tax receipt. We have already issued them a tax receipt for their donation. And I get calls every year around tax time where people are confused about why they've received multiple receipts for the same donation. So please do not send a tax receipt. You're just sending an acknowledgement and a thank you for the gift that they gave. Again, you can edit whoever receives these emails in that report. All right, last one before we get to the website, which is to talk about a little bit of campaign marketing and advertising. As many of you know, the campaign was started in 2009 by the Colorado Publishing Group, the independent newspaper, and we really relied heavily on donated media for the vast majority of our existence as a campaign. And we still have plenty of donated media through our TV stations, our radio stations, through some print. Pikes Peak Bulletin is back again this year. But many of those, the Colorado Publishing Group's media is no longer here in any form that works for the campaign. We were excited to bring the Independent back in its new iteration last year, but as you know, they are no longer they no longer exist in that form anymore in our city. So something the board and I we experimented with last year, saw really good results with, and now are really doubling down on this year is paid media and advertising. So we are doing very specific advertising within digital advertising. So these are ads that are going to people's phones, to their iPads, to their computers, to their streaming TVs, and very specific audiences. So we're working really hard because what we see our job is starting November 1st is we want everybody in the Pikes Peak region to know that the Give campaign is up and running, what it is, and how they can get involved and why they should get involved. Those are the things that we're tackling with our advertising and our media. And your job is to make sure people know they can find you on the campaign. If you don't do that and you just rely on people stumbling across you participating, you're not going to get as much money as if you let people know. So that can look like anything that you want it to look like. There used to be requirements about what you had to do, but we realized that every nonprofit is a little bit different. How you handle year-end giving is vastly different for every organization. And we want to give you that flexibility to do that. But you do need to do some way, somehow, that you're letting people know that you're a part of the campaign this year. So that can be through your social media. It can be through your year-end giving letter. It can be through your newsletters, your email blast, however you want to do it. But you have to let somebody know. You have to let them know that you're a part of the campaign. We're going to get as many people as we can to the givepikespeak.org website. And then your job is to let them know how to find you on that. All right, so let's look at it. Let's go in. Hopefully this transition will work well. So as you can see now, there's still a pop-up page that comes up. Somebody give me a thumbs up that you can see the website that looks the way that it's supposed to. Sweet. Okay, perfect. So we try to keep the website pretty similar year after year just because we don't want to confuse donors and make it hard for them to donate it. So we keep it pretty familiar. There are some things that are a little bit different, so I'll go over that for you. But when I say I want people to know they know how to find you, you should know the ways that they find you as well. So there's 3 different ways that they can get to you from this home page here. When you go to the link at the top that says Meet Our Nonprofits, that'll take you to the categories page. Over here on the right, if you scroll down a little bit, it says Browse Our Nonprofits. That also takes you to the category page. So it's important for people to know which category you are in. And then they can also jump to a specific nonprofit. And if you click on that, then all of our nonprofits will come up in this drop-down menu for people as well. The rest of the page looks like, here's the rewards section. You are always put here. Every time you load the page, 3 different organizations are put there for people to learn about different organizations. We'll talk about the stats and the leaderboards down here at the bottom in a minute. But let's go back and look at that Meet Our Nonprofits page. This is what the categories look like. You should know what category you're in. If you don't, it's in your acceptance email that you got back in May or June. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'm happy to let you or to confirm which category that you're in. But we do have 11 different categories that people then can go and browse through. They can also come in and search specifically if they know part of your name. They can just type it in that way there at the bottom. But let's click on a category. Let's look at Build Community. And I looked at this category earlier. I love the photos we have in Build Community, A+ work for everybody in this category. This is why it's really important to have a compelling photo. It shows up in a couple of different places on the website besides just your landing page. It's going to show up in these category pages on the side. It's going to show up in that ticker that changes every time you load the page at the bottom. So having a good, compelling photo that tells your story and gets people interested is really important. So go look at that photo, make sure it looks the way that you want. If you don't love it, give me a new one. We're happy to pop it in. So say someone's going to Build Community. Let's go learn about Citizens Project. So we're going to click on Citizens Project. This is what their profile looks like. This is what you should have been able to see as a liaison, what your profile looks like. So you're going to have your what, your why, your goals, your quote, did you know, your fact. It's going to have your social media, any of the ones that you shared with us, your website, phone number, your logo, all of your matching grants are going to be here on the side. As a donor, if I'm looking at you and thinking, oh, this is great, I want to add them to my favorites, then you can click the Add the Favorites button and it'll show up when you go back into that category page. So here's my Meet My Nonprofits. I'm looking at different things. I want to see in the build community category. Oh, look, here's one of my favorite citizens projects. So these are things we've just built in for donors, but I want you to know that that's possible for them to do that as well. Okay, so Citizens Project, loved what they did. I love learning about what they're doing. I think it's super cool. I am going to donate some money to Citizens Project. So I'm going to go up here at the top. This is one of the places they can give money to you. So let's say $100 to Citizens Project. I'm going to click donate. And this is how people are building kind of their philanthropy shopping cart. So then that's going to show up in their cart at the end. All right, so I'm going to go back and look at another nonprofit now. Let's go look at our CR Make Art organization here, and we're going to see their photos load, different organizations, things like that. Some people maybe need to update photos, things like that as well. So I love this photo New Horizons came up with this year, their Beatles tribute, love that. So let's go look at their page as well. Love what they're doing, keeping the music alive. We're gonna give $100 to them as well. So we're gonna add that, building our philanthropy shopping cart. So once a donor has gone through the website, they've looked at all the different categories, they've decided where they're gonna go. They're building their cart of how they're gonna donate. We are collectively doing that, building that cart for them. There are a couple different ways that they can look at that. It's the shopping cart that's up here, it's the donate now button here, or just the view cart that's right here at the top of the page. So as you can see, the $100 that I set up for Citizens Project is here. The $100 for New Horizons is up here, giving my total of $200. But when I get to this page, I see all of these great nonprofits that I can donate to as well. And I'm also going to see my reward level, that if I went up just $50 more in my donation, I would get level 3 rewards. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. I'm going to do $50 for Manitou Art Center. So as soon as I click on that, it gets it up. $250, and now I've got my level 3 rewards. Just another way we're trying to incentivize donors to get involved. So if you are working with donors who are more savvy or need to have less clicks, meaning they get confused, they're going to get lost on our website. If they're older donors, the website's not their favorite thing, that kind of stuff, but you still want to help them do it. Giving them the link to this page is the quickest way to get the donation process done. This page, the campaign.givepikespeak.org/donate, gets them to this page where they can build their cart this way. They're familiar with you. If you're just trying to help them do it quickly, you can tell them, go to the donate page, go under the Get Well category, find benefits in action, put your amount there, and then you can check out. That's the least number of clicks to get a donation through to your organization. So just helpful tip there if you're talking with donors about how to do it quickly. Okay, so when we go through that, we're going to check out. This page we have revamped this year. Our last checkout page was rather clunky and it wasn't getting us all the information that we wanted. So we changed it this year, which I'm very, very excited about. But just so you know what it looks like. Donation rewards, I'll show you those in a minute, but would you like to receive your rewards? They can click yes. They can say, if you have a donor from out of state, they want to give them to somebody else who's local, they can do that. They give us the email address. Automatically, those receipts are sent out to those vouchers are sent out to them, or if they don't want to receive rewards. If you, especially if you have our older donors who are very concerned about the tax receipt part of this, they don't want to receive the rewards because that means it will not show up on their tax receipt. As you know, if they cash in a reward, they have to deduct the fair market value of that reward from their donation. And all of that information is spelled out in the receipt for them. But if they want to just ignore that altogether and not have any of those rewards show up on their receipt, you can just have them click, I don't want to receive rewards. Okay, Year Born. This is for donor competitions. If you are building a strategy this year around trying to get the Young Donor Challenge Prize, Generosity Across Generations Prize, any of that stuff, you need to know about this category or this identification because this is self-reported. We have no way of knowing how old a donor is unless they tell us what year they were born. So making sure that your donors know that you're trying to go for the Young Donor Challenge, that you need their date of birth. We don't public, this information is not public. It is just to build out that leaderboard for that. Then it's just your normal contact information, payment information. This is where they can cover the 3.5 service fee for people. So that 100% of the donation goes to you. They can also choose to make their gift anonymous. This is how it doesn't end up on your daily donor report. Then if they want to do anything else. We also have it as possible for them to do this as an honorary gift or a memorial gift and sign up for give emails. So that's your donor experience of going through, finding an organization, deciding how they're going to give to you, and checking out. The rewards are still being updated in the page right now, but I just turned a couple of them on so you can see what it looks like. These are some of our regular ones who come in. We have some new ones this year we're excited about with the switchbacks coming in, some of our other businesses here in town. But those they're just not populated yet. They'll be up and running here soon. But when a donor comes in, these are the things, depending on which level that they give, that shows up on their tax receipt. So there'll be fun ones for them there to choose from. The campaign, our job really is just to think about ways that we can get people excited about giving, incentivize, motivate them to give. And the perks are surprisingly motivating for a lot of people. If their receipt doesn't come through right away the way they want it to, I get lots of emails through the campaign of like, where's my perks? So we take that very seriously. We've got some really fun ones for this year, some new ones on board we're excited about. And they're all there. And we try to make it as easy as possible for them to get those. Just a reminder, these are our 3 donor challenges that are out there with their sponsorships, what they are. So if you want people to know about them. Let's talk about leaderboards. This came up as a topic of conversation a couple of years ago, and I've taken it to heart that we don't want the campaign to be competing one nonprofit against another nonprofit. We don't issue any prizes for who raised the most money. There's no prizes for who got the most number of donors, any of that kind of stuff. We really just see this as data that you can use however you want. If it matters to you, if you are doing really well in the campaign or you're struggling in the campaign and you think using these leaderboards can excite your donors to get behind you and push you higher on them, then that's what we want you to use them for. We don't talk about these in our social media. We don't congratulate top people in the campaign. We're not bringing this to anybody's specific attention to these leaderboards here, but they are really important for some of our nonprofits, and they really use them as a strategy for how to get donors excited about giving. The totals that you see in here right now, these are your matching grant amounts. So these are your baseline of where you're going to start from, and then they'll go up from there based on how much money you brought in. Some people, we've talked about this before, they use the campaign for different things. If you went to our matching grant webinar or workshop, you heard Harley from New Horizons say this is their biggest fundraiser of the year. This is one of the biggest ways that they get donations. So they're going to be in the top part of this leaderboard. Whereas other organizations, this is just one piece of a very big puzzle of fundraising for their organizations. So they're not trying to be the top part of this. They're just trying to get a solid part of their donations in through the year. So everybody is represented in here if you've got a matching grant at this point. You're on that leaderboard, but use it if you want to set a goal of we want to be in the top 20 this year, or you are in the bottom 10 and you're trying to get out of the bottom 10. Use it however you want to. It is just data for you to use as motivations or not motivations. Same goes for number of donors. We like to track this as well. So this is just the number of people donated. It has nothing to do with the amounts that have been raised, but just another one where you can set a goal of we want to have 200 donors this year. Can you help us get across that line? We're looking for 10 $50 donations or 100, $5, whatever it is. This is just data that is easy for us to collect that you can then use to motivate people. So it's here for that reason only. The other one is the young donors. This is directly tied into that challenge. And it's just self-reported. If somebody told us their age of birth when they filled out their matching grant, that's why it's on here. That's why not everybody is on here, because not everybody told us that. So this is built solely from that year of birth that's in the campaign or in the checkout sheet for you as well. Okay, that's nuts and bolts. One last thing that I want to talk about before we kind of wrap it up is our Give Guide for families. Last year, we introduced this concept kind of in the middle of the campaign because honestly, I had the idea over Thanksgiving break with my family. I was at my laptop at my kitchen table, and my 9-year-old twin girls came up and were like, "What are you doing?" Because all they could see was a giant spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet represents every donation that the campaign had processed through the month of November up to that date. And they were so confused by it. And so I was just telling them, every line that you see in here is a person who is a philanthropist. They're somebody who's decided that they care about what happens in our community, and they made a donation. They picked a nonprofit, and this is how they did it. And they were like, "Can we do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess so. Let's do that." So we kind of organically came up with this process. And so once I finished this with my kids, the thing that I saw that was so cool was how excited they felt about it, and how much ownership they then had over you, is what they felt like. They had picked different things. They had kind of spread their money around, and they decided who they wanted to support based on things that they were interested. One takes dance. One really likes animals. They both have a brother with special needs. And so they just were really excited about getting involved in this way. And then after they finished completed their checkout, for the rest of the month of December, they kept asking me to see how you were doing. They wanted to know how their nonprofit was doing, had they met their goal, all of that kind of stuff. They were very just engaged with the campaign in a way that I just had never considered inviting them to be a part of. So we created this Give Guide for Families based on that conversation and my experience with my own family. And we kind of set it up to be just very family friendly. Because the thing that I learned with my own kids is that our website is already great for talking to young people about philanthropy. You've got great pictures, you've got cute videos of what you do, you have a short, clear explanation of what your mission is, what you're trying to do with the money. And that was really easy for even my 9-year-olds to understand from just looking at your profiles. So we came up with this 5 steps to philanthropy that we then put on the website. We kind of talk about the definitions of things that they might seek, just for them to understand what they are. Then we go through these 5 steps, which is 1, set a budget, talk about how much money you can spend. For my own girls last year, they definitely spent my money. But this year, because we talked about it, they have set aside money from their allowance each month that they're waiting for the campaign to launch on November 1st, so they can go and pick and support who they want to this year. But there's ways to talk about setting up a budget. Talk about what's important to you. How can they figure that out? Which kind of organizations might they want to support? Then using our category page to meet some new nonprofits. Find out what they're doing, if it aligns with what they're interested in, do some research, and then do the donations that way. We do have a fun family reward this year. It's not completely hammered out, so I can't announce it yet. I'm hoping I'll be able to announce it next week, but we are specifically doing a reward that's attractive for kids this year. So that they're not just getting free coffee or beer that they cannot use. So we do have some fun rewards that's going in for that kid category this year. But they're part of that as well. And then celebrating that they're part of the philanthropist. Because we are trying to gear donations or try to gear this messaging to families, we are lowering the age on our Young Donor Challenge down to 5. We talked about it, and we think a 5-year-old, it's highly likely that they could get money for doing chores, or have an allowance or birthday money or things like that could be their money. It is kind of an honor system within the parents that they are reporting accurately. We did have a couple of people last year who tried to say that their 2-year-old had donated, which is, it gets a little gray. So 5-year-old is the cutoff for us, but 5 to 18 can take part of that donor challenge, even if the parent is processing it through their credit card. We just want them to be a part of this as well, that they go towards your total on your Young Donor Challenge. There is a PDF it explains the Family Give Guide and has a QR code that takes them back to this page. So that they can get here to learn how to donate. That PDF will be in the shared drive. I'll email it out. And we're doing a big push around this year within our marketing. We're specifically targeting families with the Give marketing for the Give Guide for Families and that kind of stuff. So we saw some really fun bumps in the Young Donor categories last year, even just doing this for the last month of the campaign. So we're really excited to see how it could take off. We've got some good media coverage around it lined up for this year. So it's something that we're excited to kind of be known for, that we help families talk about philanthropy and kind of raise up that new generation. It's not just for parents, it's also for grandparents. As you know, most of donations these days are coming from the 65 and plus crowd. So it's a way to talk to grandparents around giving as well. So anyway, we're excited about that. And it should be good to go for you. Again, I'll send that PDF that has the QR code that gets you there, but you're welcome to use this in any way that you would like. I know that the Pikes Peak Library Foundation, who is a part of the campaign, is going to kind of lean into this and have kind of a family philanthropy day as well. We can look forward to kind of, you can do some events around it, all that kind of stuff if you're interested. So anyway, that is an overview of the campaign website for now. Like I said, everything will redirect to this website starting on November 1st. Everything is going to be updated as far as like rewards and things like that will be finished in the next couple of weeks as we get ready to go live. But we are excited about this year's campaign. I just wanted to say thank you so much for how you've been engaging with the campaign this year. It's really, when I look at the website and I've been going through profiles and looking to make sure everything looks the way it's supposed to, it does get a little overwhelming for me to just see the amount of work and how you contribute to our community. There are 64 of you in this room, this virtual room today, and the impact that you make on our community is just overwhelming. It's just incredible. So I'm just so grateful for the work that you do for our city and for our community. And it is my goal, and everybody on our board's goal, is to just raise as much money as we possibly can so that you can do this important work for us in our community. So if you have specific questions,